So welcome everybody to the very first Nature Codes 2025. My name is Sarah Estelle and I'm really happy to be joined by my friend and Essence colleague Anne Callahan of the Indigo Essences. Hello, Anne.
Hey,
So,
yippee.
yay, so Anne and I chat quite often, just check in with each other as we do, because we live in two different countries. And on one of the times recently we checked in with each other, we were like, it'd be really good to do something to support everybody and to support ourselves as well.
Mhm.
And so we came up with this idea, for want of a better word, that we're going to be doing our best during 2025 to be offering a series of videos like this, uh, not using, tuning into the nature codes of 2025 and sharing with you what we see is going on with ourselves, perhaps with our clients, with what's going on in our world and essences that we feel could help us. And we really hope that you will enjoy it.
Mhm. Yeah, thanks, Sarah. Um, I think I certainly feel that this could be quite a challenging year for a lot of us. And I do want to say that I'm not putting myself out there as someone who's got the answers necessarily. I'm absolutely going through it with everybody else. Um, One of the things I do feel about essence makers is that we go through it so that we can bring in essences that help to deal with it. So um, that's what I see happening through the year, that uh, perhaps more essences will come in to help with this change. Um, but we certainly will be able to put a spotlight on what's helping us ourselves. And it won't just be necessarily essences, but it could also be processes and other things that we do to help ourselves get through this.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, just while I was tuning into this earlier this morning, and one of the essences I want to share, which is from a range in a country far away from me, I realized when I look out the window, there's one of those trees actually outside my window.
Really, what is it?
It's the Alaskan black spruce. Now, I'm
Right.
not quite sure if ours is actually a black spruce, but it looks really similar. And I'm like, wow. So I think there's that as well, isn't it? The different things we are seeing, and just, it's
Yeah.
been there ever since I've been here. And of course, I've seen it before. I love the tree, but I hadn't actually connected it in with what I'm going to share later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we kind of know, I think astrologically, don't we, that we're moving into this. Well, we everybody knows, I think, that we're in much more Aquarian energy now, where energy medicine, energy modalities, that's probably a better word, are going to be much more understood. And I have heard many people reflect back to me that they feel that one of the reasons that essences and energy modalities haven't quite got their groove yet in the world is because the world needs to kind of catch up. It needs to be ready to hear the messages. And I think maybe now we're moving into that time.
Yeah, I do think so. That there's a move from the material world to an interaction, understanding of the energy of things, of everything, and the interconnectedness of everything, and the importance of. I just saw Zach Bush the other day. You know that guy? I'm not sure if he's a naturopath, but he's very interesting. And he was talking about a study that had been done with plants, recognizing their primary carer. If you have a house plant you've had for a long time, the plant knows you. Um, and they did a trial. They'd sent the primary carer off for a while, and when the primary carer was on their way back, there was a reaction in the plant.
Wow.
Kilometers away. The plant knew the person's energy was coming back. I think we'll see a lot more of that as we go through um, 2025 and onwards. This realization of the interconnectedness of all things and how all everything is sentient in a way, and that'll be the upside of it. I do
That's
see that It'll be very challenging because everything is changing and humans do not like change. In homeopathy, one of the famous homeopaths, George Vitulkas, said that health is the ability to adapt to change. So a person who's very healthy can adapt easily to change. Those of us who are not very healthy find adaptation difficult. So that'll be one of the things I think that we need to be mindful of is our rigidities. Where are we locked in? Where are we confining ourselves? And what can we do to release those boxes that we have? That'll be an interesting thing.
Mm.
And in terms of navigating this time, what I'm seeing a lot is, well, there's a huge amount of anxiety in the collective for all sorts of reasons. There's anxiety. If we are, these days, we know about everything that's going on in the world, which most of it we can't do anything about at all. And this is anxiety making. So one of the things that I'm going to be focusing on with the essences that I present is this bringing it back here, bringing it back to ourselves, bringing it back to the now moment, as a way to step off the kind of the hamster wheel. Because this is the other thing that's happening, is that the sense that time is speeding up and people are just overwhelmed. There's too much to do, can't do it. And what you have to do is to step off linear time when that starts to happen. And I'll talk about that in with regard to an essence or two.
That's the nature
Flexibility.
codes, isn't it? The nature time, step into nature time.
Nature time, yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting. I think we're going to have to be very flexible and just very able to come into ourselves. We'll talk, we've got we've got months to go through in this year, but I think we'll be given a lot of opportunities to release fear. I think fear is one of the, fear releasing, getting rid of our fear programming is a huge part of our wake up process. We will learn that there's pretty much nothing to fear except the programs that we've been fed since we were children. We'll be talking about that as well as we go.
Well, I know we both sort of tuned into this individually, and when we started sharing today as to what was coming through, it was actually really, really similar. Maybe talking about it in slightly different words, but actually it is that think we don't know because everything is new, and that yes, there's an extraordinary amount of stimulation from the solar flares, from the news that we may have access to, even if we don't really watch the news, we kind of get to know things, especially as, we have international connections, so we learn about it from that. And just all of the individual challenges are going on with, the weather patterns and jobs changing, relationships changing, everything completely being thrown up in the air.
Yeah.
I know myself, I'm very, very aware of how different this year feels. And there's a part of a very Aquarian me that's actually quite excited, but there's another part that's on the ground quietly going, oh my goodness.
Yep.
So yeah, this sense of, well, it's not working, so I don't know. Is what I used to do, it's just not working, or it's not helpful, or I don't want to do it anymore. So what do I do now? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So that is that overstimulation.
Yeah.
And I think what we both agreed on was that we're not going to know the answer if we look outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
And in this year, which is one of the kind of bridge years between the old and the new, and I think next year might be another year a bit like that as well. I know in human design, they don't actually talk about the new coming through in 2000 until 2027. I know I've for the last few years I've gone, okay, so next year will be better. this year was like rubbish, but next year will be better. And the next year comes and it's just like, this isn't
No,
better at
no, that
all.
wasn't better. That wasn't better at all.
So I think,
Some of us, I mean, we've been saying this since like 2000, you know. My poor husband, I used to talk to him about new energy. Don't worry, there's new energy coming. And be going, yeah, all right. You know, here we are 25 years later. It's been a long, slow process. It's a lot longer and slower than I ever imagined it would be. And we've had,
so that brings those of us who kind of like are aware, and even people that aren't aware will be feeling the same thing, just on
mm,
a different frequency. We're tired.
exhaustion. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
another big thing that people are feeling.
we're
Wow.
tired, and it's not because we're not taking care of ourselves necessarily, or we're not going to bed early enough. I've slept more this winter than I've slept for years.
Yeah, yeah. Know that we need so much rest with all of that, you know, processing that's going on and dealing with everything. I'm sure there are technical words for it, but that's another part of it. Is my memory is really dreadful. Um, it's I don't know if it's like being pulled out of the old, but there are lots of things that I just can't remember, and then I realize, well, they don't really matter actually. Um, but so I'll be very short on technical terms, let's say.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I think it is this part of the unplugging, isn't it? We are
Yeah.
literally being unplugged.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and there's that space in between before we've got to choose how to plug ourselves back in. So just on a very sort of like almost boring level, I've closed down all of my old Facebook business pages
Mm.
where I had not huge, but not bad numbers. And I've just unplugged from all of them, and now I'm dealing with like 25 people or 50 people depending on which page.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that going, well, how do I get more people into there? And I thought, well, I could just invite everybody I know. And then a voice goes, no, don't do that, Sarah, because that's why you closed down the old pages.
Mm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's this thing is like, okay, so I've unplugged, so I need to plug back in, but
Yeah.
where do I plug back in?
Exactly. And we need to plug back in without recreating where we've come from,
Yes.
you know.
And
Um,
that's, I think everybody listening will have a version of that going. What I shared there was just like really boring, but it's really practical. So,
yeah. Mm.
but it's been going to be happening on every area of life. So,
Yeah.
okay, if I choose to unplug, where do I plug back in?
Mm.
Maybe that thing doesn't exist yet. Or
Exactly.
maybe
And
it's
this
up
is
to
what
me to create it or you to create it, who
and
knows?
that's what we have to get to, this place of trusting that everything is going to be okay, that it's going to work out,
Mm.
that it always has. You know, we've gotten this far in our lives, and what I've seen, I mean, certainly been through it in my own life, you know, going through fears to do with money, and realizing that those fears are programmed into us and they're not real. And when you can get past a fear of money appearing, you'll find it always does. You know, when
Yeah.
you're present in the now moment, there is always, pretty much always, you know, enough. And I think that's something that some people will be facing that for the first time if they're losing a job. Those of us who've been self-employed, we're more used to that. You know, we know there's seasons, there are dry seasons and wet seasons and abundant seasons and so on. But if you have been employed all your life and you're suddenly facing not being employed, that could be scary for people. And perhaps next time round we can talk about ways of processes actually to move through the money fears, because I think they will come up for people who just, you know, like I say, facing losing a job that paid them regularly. And both of us have, you know, have funded ourselves for a very long time. You did work, didn't you, Sarah, for a salary
I
at some
did.
point?
I stopped working for in that way just before we came to France, actually.
Mm,
I was a teacher for a long time, and then that coincided with me not being well. So I gave all that up literally, and we were on the breadline for literally, we had no car. We had £10 a week to buy our food. And we
Wow.
used to live off £10. So I know exactly how that
Oh,
feels.
mm,
And that was a process of, finding the new. It seems to be a bit of a pattern in my life, actually, is that I kind of have this thing and then it all gets thrown up in the air. And then there's quite a lot of instances of that in my life. But what I'm really feeling happening as we move into these new energies is that we've all come out of a world, even if we have been self-employed for a long time. And of course, we need enough money to live. Of course, we have.
mm,
And anybody that knows me knows that I'm very keen on not being in self-sacrifice or depletion because I've been there.
mm,
And it was self-made, giving myself away. That was totally self-made. Um, but we come from a world of it's like where we feel our self-worth is built on how much we've got in the bank, how many children we have, what kind of car we've got, how many people we've got on our Facebook page, it's like all that stuff, some of which is useful and real. And now we're, I think, moving into a world that we older people need to kind of like really get a handle on. Is like that doesn't matter anymore. And that's what you just spoke. It's like, am I actually happy?
mm. Yeah.
And to build our lives built on happiness and
Mhm.
joy. And
Yeah.
am I actually doing? I was sitting last night with myself going, so what brings me joy
Mm,
and what depletes me? And they're questions I've asked myself a million times,
yeah.
but I was doing it quite seriously last night and getting some really interesting answers.
Mm,
So maybe that's part of it as well. It's like, am I happy? I've heard some of my clients saying recently, who've been with me for a while working with nature and essences, saying, well, I don't have a whole load of money, and I used to have, not because of working with me has made them lose money, but they'd already come into that place.
mm,
So I don't have a whole load of things, but I'm the happiest I've ever been.
mm. Yeah. That's what counts, isn't it?
And that's a very beautiful thing to really stop and ask ourselves. So I may not have what I used to have, or I may have things differently to what I used to have. But if I'm happier, then that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Very important. Becoming
Mm,
authentic, I think that's a huge part. The sort of the stripping away of the persona that all of us, have put on to a certain extent to fit into this world. The way you're supposed to be, the things you're supposed to have, and all of that. Um, and I
mm,
still find parts of that in myself that I just go, whoa, I've still got, I've still got, this programming running in
mm,
places, and it comes up. Um, yeah, all sorts of places you wouldn't expect. Funny, funny things. Um,
mm,
but yeah, I think that could be a huge part, becoming authentic and really just finding, well, what does make you happy? Because a lot of people um, have not pursued the stuff, things that make them happy because it wasn't going to make them money. Way back, I want to be a potter. Oh no, you don't. That's not going to work. So you go to do some course that you don't enjoy and work in some job that you don't really like, but it pays the bills. Aha. So now we've to let go of that, the external. Um,
Well, that was one of the big leaps of faith we made when we came to
yeah,
France. It was like we knew on some level that we were leaving a country that could potentially, if you don't have anything, your country usually steps in and gives you some kind of minimum.
yeah.
We don't have any of that here.
Mhm.
And so it was like when we actually got here, we were like, yay, we've done this thing. And about 6 months in, we were like, oh dear, what have we done? But yeah, it was good. It was the right thing to do.
Yeah, yeah.
So I know we've both got some essences that we'd like to share. Would you like to go first, Dan? Because I
I
know
will. I
you've
will.
got some beautiful pictures to show us.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to share three essences that I feel are very useful right now. And now is the first one. Um, this is number 8 in the New Energy series, and it was made with a green calcite globe and a drop of every essence that had been made before it. So everything that had been made up till that time was put in the water, and the green calcite globe was put alongside it. And the idea was that this was bringing everything that I'd learned from the past into this now moment. And the essence itself is about bringing everything, all parts of yourself from the past, and if you know, all your energy that you put into the future, right back into this moment. Because when we spend, most of our anxiety comes from projecting into the future. It hasn't happened yet. And if we spend too much time thinking about a dreadful future, we will probably make it happen for ourselves. So it's very important to bring everything back to this moment now, and step by step. Green calcite itself is known to help release rigid beliefs, calm anxiety, and stabilize mood swings. So it's a very, very calming, centering mineral that will also help us to release the energies that, you know, that are causing us to kind of look back at the past and think, oh, the past was so great, or to project this anxiety into the future. A great essence to meditate with. And I'm finding increasingly that the essences are doing a great deal of good when we put them on the physical body, put them into a cream or an oil, and put them on any part of the body that is holding pain, because that's something, an energy that's blocked and an energy that wants to be released. So that's the first one. Now, the second one, which is, you know, when you're feeling this sense, this overwhelm, this is what I suppose I'm addressing here, is best countered by pulling all of our energy back into ourselves and just sitting, being. This essence, isness, was made with this exact piece of boulder opal. And if you really look into the opal, it does feel like the cosmos. It does feel like you're looking into the stars, if you like. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of opal. So isness is for when you feel pulled away from your center. So again, all these, you know, these external things are too much to do, not enough time, blah, 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 all this overstimulation and activity. Bring yourself right back into your center with this essence, isness, a great essence to meditate with. Boulder opal helps with clarity and centering, and balances and stabilizes or harmonizes brain activities. So it can really help to calm down an overstimulated mind. It also helps connect with the energy of the cosmos, which is something that, again, it's moving into that kind of mystical connection with all things. Sometimes when we take ourselves out of the wood, we can see, when you see a bigger picture, it can be very calming in that way. When you see yeah, it's like looking at the stars on a starry night. It's kind of a wonderful experience. So isness, when you feel pulled away, isness will pull you right back into center. And again, a great essence for meditating. And I do find that is a great thing to do, even for 5-10 minutes twice a day, is to just sit and breathe into your center, into your body, feel what's going on in your body, get to a place of stillness.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then here's my beautiful sunflower. It's a very, very kind of wonky picture taken on my old cell phone. There's a story with this sunflower. I do find I don't make flowers or plant essences that often, but when a plant or a flower wants me to make an essence, I find that one flower fixes me with it, looks at me, and no matter where I go, it follows me around and it's looking at me. Well, this sunflower did that. We had 10 or 11 sunflowers growing outside the kitchen window, This would have been a summer storm in 2007, I think it was. There was a branch in the garden that actually got twisted off. It was like we had a mini twister went through the garden. But this sunflower just stood up and swayed with the storm. And all the time it kept this extraordinary smiley face. Um, and I call it strength in a storm. I wasn't going to make an essence. I saw it looking at me and I went, no, I don't, I'm was still very reluctant to make plant essences. However, my lovely husband went out and cut the flower and brought it into the kitchen. And one day I came back from shopping, walked into the kitchen, and there was the flower. And I've just got this belt of energy. And I thought, oh, yeah, I better do the essence. Whoa. So that is the flower. It must be about 4 or 5 days after it was cut. And you see how vibrant it still is. And it has this beautiful smiley face. So sunflower will help us be strong, focused, yet very flexible. The sunflower has a sort of yang presentation, if you like. It's that straight up, a sort of straight line. So that generally, to my mind, implies a kind of focus. But the thing about sunflower is it's also very flexible. This particular flower was able to move with the wind and not be blown down. So these qualities will help us withstand the challenges that we're going to go through and adapt as necessary to new conditions. So yeah, that's my trio for today. Flexibility, isness, and being in the now.
And I love as well, I mean, your crystals are always very beautiful, and I'm finding, and I've heard other people say this as well, I've many years tended to be more of a kind of flower person. And although we teach about gem essences, in fact, your range on and Steve Johnson's Alaskan gem essences on the flower essence diploma, that it's not really been something that I mean, obviously I do take them, but not much more flowers. But this year, I'm all of a sudden being drawn to the gems, to the crystals.
Yeah, yeah.
So I do think there is something about this strength that we need.
Yeah, yeah.
Paying attention to our own structure.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the fact as well that you made the sunflower like that, because as you probably know, there's a lot of kind of snobbiness in the world of flower essences. Oh, if the cloud's gone over, you've got to throw it all away. And, my deep apologies to the Batch Centre, because that is the way they do it. And that's what Dr. Batch shared. And that was his way. And it's a beautiful way.
Yeah.
But there are lots of us as well who make essences in very wacky ways.
Yeah. See, here we could never make an essence if it had to be full sunshine. It would be very, very difficult.
I think that's where the boiling method came from, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
But I don't like the idea of boiling flowers.
No, it's like boiling a creature.
It's
I
just
think
I
you're
have made
boiling
things
frogs.
like
No,
that because
please.
I wanted to give it a go. But the red chestnut I'd made in the boiling method, and the colour is beautiful, beautiful. So I'm going to also share three essences, and not in the same way as Anne. I've got some cards here. So I'm going to hold them up so you can see them, first of all. So this is the tree that I was actually talking about in the beginning. This is black spruce from the Alaskan essences. And we have a tree that is so, so similar, literally just outside my window here. So the reason I think the trees are really important no matter what ranges you use. And I tried to choose a range of essences here because I know people have access to different ones and we all like different essences as well. I think the trees are going to be super important for us because they are so rooted. A bit like that sunflower, same kind of message there. It's like, let's get really rooted because the storm is here, and is coming, and most likely stronger than it has been.
Yep.
So we're really going to need that sense of self. So black spruce, and these are Steve Johnson's words, has a lot of grandfather energy.
Mm,
And why I loved the message is that I actually, when we think we don't know, we do know. We do. We have it in our own coding.
mm,
Anybody that's listening to this now, you know. And as I'm saying this, my mind's going, you don't know, Sarah. But there's another part of me going, yes, you do. We all know. But to know, we have to be still enough to listen, long enough to listen. So the black spruce is, Steve called it, and this is obviously as well from Alaskan heritages, it's not just him saying it, is a tree that represents the grandfather energy and holds the DNA codes of the elemental wisdom. So when we kind of connect with these trees, they know how to survive because they've been here for a long, long, long time. So this is really, really about if there's a part of you that's forgotten, just you can do it just through this photograph on our fluorescence diploma. It's one of the main ways that we connect people. And yes, it's lovely to have an essence in a bottle and all those things. I hope that we still are able to do all of those things in our changing world. But I've seen again and again people shift perspective just by looking at the photographs. So that's the black spruce. The other tree, there's lots of trees I could mention. The batch range is probably one of the ranges that most people will have easy access to. Something like elm for overwhelm.
mm.
Perfect rescue remedy. If you haven't got a bottle of rescue remedy, go to your pharmacy or chemist or wherever you get them. Get them in pharmacies here in France. Wherever you get them, get yourself equivalent of. What would be your equivalent of a rescue remedy? And
Mine would be the works
well, that's it. Yeah,
combinations. Mm.
that's the one Pongo used to
Yeah.
choose.
It's
Pongo.
also an existential rescue remedy. So, and that can be coming up for people now, this kind of almost suicidal ideation. Things are so weird and so strange that some people might be going, I think I just want to leave. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind. The works.
Yeah. So when I say rescue remedy, yes, the batch one might be the easiest, but the Australian bush dew one,
Mm-hmm.
I- the name of it's just gone straight out of my mind. Soul support from the Alaskan. There's all different versions. And if you have Anne's essences, of course, there's the works as well. Serato is another one that comes to mind from the batch range because it's all about dropping into your heart.
Mm-hmm.
The one that kind of wanted to come in from the batch range to mirror the black spruce, this is oak. Again, most of us here in Europe anyway, and I think probably stateside, know oaks or know where we can go to meet oaks. So oaks are the trees that are known for their longevity, are known for their ability to take care of many, many species, and they're very good for those of us, and I'll put my hand up to this, and it's probably why I love oak so much, who are not very good at delegating and try to do everything ourselves. So oak will teach us that we can put certain things down and we can allow ourselves to be supported. And as oak demonstrates to us, because this is what they do, branches fall off all over the place and they can look quite decrepit, but they keep living. They have longevity in them because they have the deep roots. So actually letting go of things is actually health giving and helps us to live longer. So I'll need to remember those words. And then the last one that I've got, as I know a lot of people right now are finding their direction changing, sometimes because they want to change direction. And for many, many people, it's just like the external circumstances just taking things away. Big time, we've had with the Californian fires and all, like really, really dramatic, traumatic things. So the wild oak from the batch range would be really helpful for that. But I wanted to bring in something a little bit different. This is the Australian bush silver princess, which essentially has the same remit to help us find a new life direction. So this could be for you if you, for example, find yourself having with a clean slate and you don't know where to go next. Let's say you've lost a job that was external to you, and now you have a desire to bring something through yourself, would be really helpful. It can also be really helpful for those of us who haven't lost everything per se, but know that what we were doing is not really working anymore. It's not bringing us joy. It might not be even that it's not actually working, it's not just bringing us joy anymore.
Mhm.
And Silver Princess can help us find that new place. We don't have to be down at the clean slate. It's a macrocarpa, and so also has this kind of like regenerating, rejuvenating energy as well. If
And a
we are,
lovely frilly skirt. It's like
isn't she beautiful? Well, I always like that one, but just because Estelle, my second name, means princess.
I
No,
love
it's not my first name. What am I talking about? Sarah actually means princess. So
mm,
whenever I see the word princess, I
mhm.
get excited.
Very good.
Just the little child inside of me. So yeah, so we hope that those essences have helped you. For anybody who is new to essences, they're really, really good at kind of like really stabilizing our emotional fields and everybody on the planet. As you said, all the plants, all the animals, all the crystals were all kind of like going, whoa, what's going on here? And so they can be really, really helpful and helping us, as you said at the beginning, and just being in the moment, just bringing us back. They're not necessarily about making us. I always used to think that taking essences would like make me, I'd just take them for like a few times and then I'd be go, yay, I'm all right now.
Mhm,
It's often that's not how they work. They'll bring us right back into how we feel,
mhm.
and how we feel might be what we've been trying to avoid.
Yeah, that's true. Very interesting.
Mm,
Okay, dokie. So, Sarah, are we going to wrap it up?
yes.
Um, so, yeah, we are going to do this next time around the equinox. The next,
That's what we think at the moment, but I think we're kind of thinking we're going to be intuitive to see
yeah.
if we can do one every equinox or solstice, but also to be very intuitive about it. And if we hear the call, we
Yeah,
will connect.
yeah.
We would love, love, love if you've enjoyed this for you to share this for us because our reason for doing it is to help as many people as possible. So if you do would like to share it, or if you're seeing this wherever you're seeing it, just speak into the kind of crazy algorithms by liking something or commenting on it.
Mm.
Just helps
Asking
different people to
questions,
see
indeed.
it. Ask questions, feel free to
Yeah.
connect with us and with each other via it. We'd be really, really grateful, as would nature. Any final words, Anne?
No, no final words of wisdom. Oh, okay. The one word, the thing that came to me yesterday was laughing. The importance of laughter. That's one of the best things we can do as well is find something to laugh at. Have a really good belly laugh about once a day.
Mm, mm.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So animals would come in and children big time there.
Mm, yep.
Mm, mm. Thank you for watching, everybody. Please let us know how you've enjoyed this. And if you have any ideas or thoughts about what we can speak about in the future, we'd love to know.
Yep.
Thanks, Anne. Bye.
Bye.